Hi there. So I'm spending my tea breaks asking some big brains the answers to the big questions of life using tens of thousands of years worth of art and artifacts as my evidence. Women have typically been written out of history and out of the story of the world across millennia. But if you look back at very early archaeology, often the female of the species is conspicuous by her presence. She's kind of everywhere, so you wonder what's going on. So I thought the perfect person to chat this through with is award-winning, best-selling novelist and author Kate Moss, who is also co-founder of the Women's Prize for Fiction and who happens to be a very, very old friend of mine. So I'm going to get her on the line. Hello!
Hello, darling.
Oh my Kate, that is so lovely to see you. How lovely to see your face.
So lovely to see you too. And you look, of course, wonderful and like you're back from warm climates, and I'm in my winter jumper. So,
Well, I am. It's actually one of the reasons I wanted to give you a ring because I've just been in Malta and oh my goodness, it's amazing. It's just full of such incredible archaeology. And there's one particular thing I want to share with you. So I've been sort of thinking about female power. It's something we've talked about before and what happens to female power through time. But just have a look at this. I don't know if you know this image. Can you see her?
yes, absolutely. Beautiful.
So beautiful. So she's well over 5,000 years old and she's called the Sleeping Lady. We don't know what she is. We don't know whether she's a priestess or a goddess or a spirit or an ordinary human being. But she seems to be saying something very potent about life or the kind of journey from life to death and then maybe back from death to life again.
She's very fecund, isn't she? I mean, she's not. This is not an older woman or a woman that is kind of underfed, shall we say,
No.
or undernourished in any way.
But, one of the reasons I love her is that she's not alone. If you look back through time from around 25,000 BCE to around 4,000 BCE, by some estimates, 90% of all human representations, of all human figurines, are female.
Really, very interesting.
Yeah. And you should think, what's going on? What's being said about the story of the world?
I've always had a theory, as you know, which is not based on proper history, I should hasten to add, in your august company, my friend. But I do think there is a real shift when you see civilizations moving away from being very closely linked to land and to birth, to the clear evidence of where life comes from, which is female bodies. And the closer we get to the modern times, the more women's power and complete essentialness, if you like, to life, the more and more it vanishes. So you end up with history books that would give the impression that women didn't exist.
Yeah.
And it's a very clear trajectory, I think.
And it is extraordinary, isn't it? Because, like it or not, women have always been at least 50% of the population.
Yes, we were there too.
There's this beautiful author, I'm sure you know her, Joanna, the first named author in the human story who is a woman. Why isn't she a household name? So this is what she writes about her incredible blazing kind of war and sex goddess in Anna, who she's a priestess of. So she says, Lady of blazing dominion, clad in dread, riding on fire-red power, flood, storm, hurricane adorned, battle planner, foe smasher. I mean,
Battle planner, foe smasher.
Isn't
That
it?
is fabulous.
So, when she was first discovered, she only gets like half a page or a tiny page in the archaeologist's notes in 1927, but she's incredibly important. And as you say, because women are there kind of at the stem cell of the beginning of civilization, and then they get systematically written out. And is that one of the reasons why you, in your work, why you put them there in your work?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the period of time that I'm writing about at the moment, which is the 16th century and into the 17th century, most of the male communities of Europe had been at war for a generation.
Yeah.
So it's just, if you extrapolate out from that, the common sense is, well, who do we think was baking the bread? Who do we think was chopping the wood? Who do we think were building the houses and opening the bookshops and binding the paper into the books? It must have been women.
Yeah.
That's why it matters, you know, to reclaim real history and put women's voices back into history.
It's so ironic though, isn't it? Because some great influencers like George Eliot was actually Mary Ann Evans, and George Sand was actually Amantine Lucille Aurore Dupin. They had to pretend to be men to be accepted.
Yes, and I mean, there are, of course, very, very many reasons why women might not publish under their own names now as in then. Some of them are about their own agency and choice, but mostly it's about what is seen as appropriate for women to do. And so it's not simply that it wouldn't be possible to get your work out there. It's about the idea that women should be controlled, their thoughts should be controlled. As a novelist, you can slip between the gaps between what is known and what can be imagined. And one of the jobs as a historical novelist is for me to say, okay, who are us? You know, if there was Bettany and Kate walking through Carcassonne in 1562, who would they have been? What would their lives have looked like? What would they have felt? My lovely dad once put it when I was explaining about writing adventure stories with women as the heroes, because the hero is the protagonist and the person with agency. And he said, oh, I see. So it's not about leaving people out. It's just about getting a bigger table and more chairs.
As a historian, I don't think women ever did rule the world.
No.
But what you're saying is so beautiful, because sort of what you're saying is actually imagining, understanding the lives of others. That is what should have sway. That is what should have absolute power.
Absolutely. You know, I don't want, as you say, any one group to rule the world. The world is ours to share. It's just making sure that it is shared and that the history of that includes us all.